The phone 2A was a huge success for Nothing as a company. They sold over 1 lakh units on the first day of its sale. In fact, because of the sales of this phone alone, they had over 500% market share growth in our country. And they're doubling down on their investments this year. They're going to be opening over 12,000 retail stores. And Akis has turned into Akisbai, and he is now the president of Nothing India. Now, why am I saying this? Because the phone 2A is now old news. And we need to welcome the phone 3A. And fair warning, heavy spoilers here, the phone 3A is a superb upgrade over the phone 2A. And that's even if on paper it doesn't feel like that much of a spec upgrade. So what's so special, Ershad, you ask? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to solve in this video for you in our detailed review of the Nothing Phone 3A. And at the same time, I'm going to be comparing it against the predecessor. If you're here for the first time, I'm Ershad. You're watching Trakin Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. The first thing you'll notice about the Nothing Phone 3A are the design changes that have been made compared to the Nothing Phone 2A. So the 3A has a triple camera layout, of course, no doubt about that, you can see that for yourself. And at the bottom, the design of the metallic grid, the geometric pattern has also been slightly changed. But there are a couple of two very important changes. Firstly, at the back, now you get glass instead of plastic, which makes it more premium, also heavier, unfortunately. And the second thing is that it's actually bigger than the phone 2A because you get a larger display with the phone. Oh, by the way, there's one more upgrade. The IP54 rating from the phone 2A has been upgraded to IP64 now. And yeah, by the way, there's one more change, which I don't know if it's an upgrade or a downgrade, is the fact that the Corning Gorilla Glass 5 protection on the front that you got with the phone 2A is now Panda Glass. Now, while all of those changes, of course, make a difference in everyday usage, the most important change, however, is something called an essential key below the power button. Now, is that key really essential? Is something I'll definitely explore really soon. But before that, your support is definitely essential. I know it's a shameless plug, but go ahead, do it. Hit that subscribe button. Like I said, I'll come to the essential key in a bit, but apart from that, you do get a USB Type-C 2.0 port at the bottom. There's a power button. There are two volume buttons as well. And of course, the sides are actually entirely plastic. And you get glyph lights. Yeah, the same glyph lights that Nothing really is not talking much about this time. Primarily because by now you know that if it's a Nothing phone, you will get the glyph light feature and you will also get a lot of different cool things that you can do with it. For example, you can set a glyph timer. You can flip to glyph to, ensure that the phone goes into do not disturb mode. You also have a glyph composer where you can create your own tunes. There's a volume indicator which basically uses one of the strips to indicate the volume level with the LED strips. There's also a glyph progress which gives you a progress information report within that LED strip for apps like Uber and Zomato. There's a music visualizer and of course notifications and calls that light up the glyph pattern. Overall, if you look at it compared to the phone 2A, the phone 3A largely looks similar, but there are some changes to accommodate like a larger display, the 2x camera, and of course the new glass material, more premium material used at the back, and yes, the essential key as well. The phone 3A now has a slightly larger 6.77 inch display compared to 6.7 inches on the phone 2A. But it's the same spec, otherwise you get a Full HD Plus resolution display with AMOLED technology and 120Hz refresh rate as well. Now because the display is bigger, you get fewer pixels per inch, but that's not really something that will matter in daily usage. But there are some upgrades to the display that are definitely useful. Firstly, the brightness metrics have been upgraded. So what you get now is 3000 nits of peak brightness when you're watching HDR content. And in HBM, you get 1300 nits, and with typical brightness, you can go up to 800 nits. And therefore, the HDR performance when you're watching YouTube content seems to be better compared to the phone 2A, and the tuning also seems to be better. That's not it. When you take it outdoors, the sunlight legibility was also slightly brighter and more visible compared to the phone 2A. The touch sampling rate has also been improved from the 2A. Now it's 480Hz instead of 240Hz, but in daily usage, I can't really tell the difference. Another addition with the phone 3A is the game mode, and with the game mode, what you get is 1000Hz of instantaneous touch sampling rate. Just like the phone 2A, with the phone 3A, you also get 2160Hz of PWM dimming. So if you're somebody who is sensitive to flicker in low light on high refresh rate displays, that shouldn't be a problem with these phones. Now, like I said, HDR performance was an upgrade. Similarly, even the color tuning seems to be an upgrade because the colors look a little more true to life. But just like the phone 2A, on the phone 3A as well, you do not get any Netflix HDR support, which is a bit of a letdown. I think Nothing should really work in that direction and give us HDR support on Netflix. I know that certification is mighty expensive, but you know what? There are other brands that do go the extra length. You can do it, Nothing. Now, as for the speakers, you get a stereo setup. Basically, there's a single grill at the bottom and the earpiece doubles up as the secondary speaker. You guys take a listen to it, the phone 3A speakers compared to the phone 2A speakers, and let me know what you guys think. Now to complete that whole multimedia experience, you also do get support for LHDC, LDAC, aptX adaptive, all of the Bluetooth high-res codecs that you can think of. Overall, I feel like the display on the Phone 3a is definitely an upgrade over the 2a for sure. Now, even when it comes to performance, the Phone 3a is definitely an upgrade compared to the 7200 Pro used inside the Phone 2a, because the 7S Gen 3, nothing claims, is 33% more powerful. But the RAM and ROM types are the same. Basically, what you get is LPDDR4X RAM type and UFS 2.2 storage, and you get two variants as well, 8 128GB and 12 256GB. Now, let's take a look at the benchmarks. Now, firstly, when you take a look at Antutu, the scores are higher. When you take a look at Geekbench, single core and multi-core scores are also higher. In CPU throttle, the phone doesn't throttle as much as the Phone 2a. In 3D Mark wireless test as well, you get better GPU stability compared to the Phone 2a. So yeah, in every single benchmarks, the Phone 3a beats the Phone 2a. But how about regular everyday usage? I didn't see any noticeable difference except for the fact that the Phone 3a is slightly, maybe ever so slightly smoother, but yeah, that's only if you like pixel peep and use them side by side. However, you can see tangible improvements in gaming performance. Basically, with BGMI, you get 90 FPS support, but more importantly, in a Genshin Impact test that we ran, we noticed that the average frame rates are higher, despite the fact that, there was a lot of stutter even with the FPS when we were actually playing the game. I'm going to make one statement out here. The Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 is perfectly alright for a phone under rupees 25,000, but it's not alright for a phone under rupees 30,000. And yes, I'm looking at you, the Nothing Phone 3a Pro. Now, if you're looking at network performance, we actually did have very good network performance with the Phone 3a. It supports 10 5G bands, you get Wi-Fi 6, NFC, and Bluetooth 5.4 as well. And with Airtel and Jio in cities like Pune and Kolhapur, where we tested it out, it was actually pretty good. I know that the Phone 2a has 3 extra bands of 5G support, but in everyday usage, at least in a country like India, we didn't face an issue. Now, talking about battery life, it's the same 5000 mAh battery that you get inside the Phone 3a, and you get very similar battery performance as well. We didn't notice any significant improvements in battery life. You get anywhere between 8 to 8.5 hours of screen on time depending on your usage. But the charging speeds are slightly faster now, so you get 50 watt charging support compared to 45 watt. And one thing I must mention here for sure is that the Phone 3a actually supports USB PD PPS standard, which means that you will have to get a GAN charger or any kind of charger which supports PPS standard as well. As for charging, the Phone 3a definitely charges faster than the Phone 2a. It takes about 56 minutes, whereas the Phone 2a takes about 1 hour, 10 minutes. Now, one thing I like about the Phone 3a is the fact that you now get an upgraded camera setup. But it's not only an upgrade, it's also a little bit of a downgrade. So overall, a side grade. Let me explain. So basically, with the Phone 3a, you have the same 50 MP Samsung GN9 sensor, which is there as the primary camera on the Phone 2a as well. The secondary ultra-wide angle camera is an 8 megapixel unit instead of a 50 MP unit that you get with the Nothing Phone 2a. That's kind of the compensation that Nothing has made to ensure that you can get a 2x Samsung JN5 sensor, telephoto sensor with the Phone 3a. That's not the only downgrade, by the way, because the 32 megapixel selfie camera that Phone 3a has also uses a smaller sensor compared to the Phone 2a. Now, how does all of this translate in camera performance in real life? Well, we've tested it out, let me tell you. At 1x, the details are very similar on both, but the Phone 3a performs better at longer zoom ranges, of course. Like for example, at 2x, 4x or even 10x thanks to the telephoto lens. However, the Phone 2a definitely offers better color reproduction is something that we noticed in our testing. HDR performance has been improved on the Phone 3a across the primary, ultra-wide and the selfie cameras. It just looks very good now. Even when clicking pictures of friends and family, the skin tones are closer to real life on the Phone 3a compared to the Phone 2a. There's no doubt about that at all. Portraits are definitely a clear win for the Phone 3a, primarily because of the dedicated 2x lens, which does let you take good 50mm cropped in shots. So you can now take portraits at 1x, 2x, 3x and 4x, and all of it look very good. And for portraits, definitely the Phone 3a is an upgrade over the Phone 2a for sure. In fact, this time around, the Phone 3a also has a few portrait lens simulations. Basically, you can get like a swirly bokeh, or you can get a bokeh with stars as the pinpoints. Yeah, stuff that we've seen with Vivo phones. That apart, you also have 4 presets like soft focus, black and white film, wide angle and lenticular. And basically these are non-destructive presets that you can pre-apply when you're taking photos, which is very good. You can also create your own preset, which is also kind of nice. Talking about low light performance, it's very similar on the primary lens compared to the Phone 2a, but the Phone 3a seems to have slightly better flare control, so the lens coating seems to be slightly better this time around. Now, when we compare the ultra-wide angle shots, of course, the 50MP Phone 2a shot look better than the 8MP shot from the Phone 3a, especially when you take a look at the details, the color sense consistency with the primary camera and the low light shots. But like I mentioned earlier, since the HDR performance tuning has been improved on the phone 3a, even with the 8 megapixel camera, you do get better HDR tuning with the ultra wide angle. Now, when you take a look at the selfie performance, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, and that I'll explain why. Because the phone 2a has a slightly better sensor, so you get more details, and even the low light selfies look better on the phone 2a. But the 3a excels in HDR performance, like I mentioned before, and the skin tones are closer to neutral as well. However, in portrait selfies, we felt like the edge cutout and details were better on the phone 2a. Now, with respect to video recording, both the phones can record at 4K 30 FPS using the primary camera, and we felt like the video recording quality is slightly better with details, HDR and sound quality on the newer phone 3a.
This is the video sample shot using the Nothing Phone 3a and the Nothing Phone 2a at 4K 30 FPS. So let me know which one has a better video quality.
But since the 2a has a higher resolution ultra wide angle sensor, you can shoot at 4K 30 FPS, which obviously gives it an immediate advantage over the phone 3a because you can only shoot at 1080p 30 FPS. Now, the good thing is that you can of course shoot videos with the 2x camera, but that again is, tops out at 1080p 30 FPS and doesn't give you the option for 4K recording. Selfie video recording is possible at 1080p 60 FPS from both the phones, which is good enough, I would say, but the quality is better on the 2a once again compared to the 3a. Because of just the fact that it has a slightly larger sensor. That's it. So overall, if you look at it for versatility, I feel like Nothing has done a good job with the phone 3a because it definitely gives you more lenses and more focal length to work with. Especially for something like portrait mode, the phone 3a definitely is the choice to go for. And it's a very smart move in my opinion because a lot of people end up taking pictures of their friends, family, and in that scenario, the portrait mode is definitely something that they end up using a lot. And the differences in selfie camera performance is negligible to begin with. So, people will take that hit in quality once in a while. The ultra wide on the other hand, yeah, that's definitely a letdown on the phone 3a compared to the phone 2a. But overall, if you look at it and you measure them on a scale just because of the HDR performance improvements and the other things, I would say that the phone 3a is definitely a better camera compared to the phone 2a. Had to be, right? And also more versatile. By the way, right out of the box, the software that you get with the phone 3a is Nothing UI 3.1 based on Android 15, and Nothing is promising 3 years of software updates and 6 years of security updates. Obviously, Nothing UI 3.1 will also come to the Nothing Phone 2a at some point. Anyway, the software experience on the Nothing Phone 3a is absolutely fantastic. Firstly, what you get are very smooth animations. It's very well tuned, but more importantly, there's absolutely no unwanted bloatware or junk installed on your phone. And the kind of features that you get with Nothing UI 3 are so awesome. For example, you get the dot matrix pattern design. You also get enlarged folders where you can add your own icons. There are really cool widgets. You can keep quick settings in the lock screen. There's a ton happening here that makes it really, really awesome. By the way, smart segregation or smart app drawer as well. And circle to search is obviously there on the Nothing Phone 3a and the Phone 3a Pro as well. Now to talk about that essential key that I have held on to for so long. Trust me, this essential key is kind of confusing and maybe not very well fleshed out at the moment. Before I explain what it does, since it sits below the power button, I inadvertently ended up pressing the essential key without my knowing many times. Anyway, this essential key cannot be remapped to do anything else, and a camera shutter button option is coming with an OTA update later. Now, what you can do with the essential key is you can press it once to take a screenshot, you can long press it to create an audio note over it, and you can double press it to actually open the essential space. Now, why are you taking a screenshot and creating an audio note? To create a memory for the AI hub that is the essential space. To create a memory, I need to take a photograph, nothing. So you need to give me that update for me to call it a memory in the first place, honestly. Now you can categorize all of the memories within the essential space. That's good, but if Nothing could have used AI for me to actually give it a voice command and for it to use that contextually to search within information. Say for example, if I have 5 screenshots of Antutu, I can probably just ask essential space, right? What is the best Antutu score that I got from the screenshots that you see right now? Well, that's not possible at the moment. But apart from the essential key, overall, under 25,000 rupees, this is the best software experience that you can get. So overall, if you look at it, the Phone 3a definitely improves over the Phone 2a in many aspects. Right now, the Phone 2a might seem like a better deal because you can get it for under 22,000 rupees, maybe sometimes even lower. But that's because it's been there in the market for a long time, and maybe Nothing might continue selling it for slightly lower price as well. But the Phone 3a definitely seems like an upgrade, especially in terms of overall raw performance, the kind of camera improvements that they've done, and also the overall software experience seems to be much smoother, much better on the Phone 3a compared to the Phone 2a. And the fact that the Phone 3a also includes premium materials, has higher IP rating as well. So yeah, there are upgrades that seem sensible to me compared to something like the Phone 3a Pro, and I've already made a video of that one saying that maybe the phone 3a is a more sensible buy compared to the phone 3a Pro because it does offer a whole lot of value for money. At launch, the phone 3a is going to be priced at 25,000 rupees with, bank discounts getting it down to about 23,000 rupees. Now, what do you guys think of the phone 3a? Would you buy it? What kind of comparisons would you like us to do next with the phone 3a and any other phone? Let us know in the comments and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.